Oh shit, there's a live show? What up, YouTube? It's your boys, Detroit Love, P-Dubs Arcade Love, Michael B. the Game Genie, and Nostalgia with another episode of the Super Game Room Dudes. Fellas, Friday night is live. Let's do it.
Happy Friday, everyone. Thanks as always for tuning in to the Super Game Room Dudes, one of your favorite arcade and gaming podcast show. And not only do we want to welcome you to the show, but we also want to say happy Father's Day weekend to all of you out there. Let's get some Father's Day cheer going in the live chat. There are so many wonderful fathers, grandfathers, your brothers, your brothers, your nephews, your uncles, everyone who's a dad out there. Happy Father's Day. This is a weekend for all of you to enjoy. It looks like there's going to be a couple of fantastic movies in theaters this weekend, which we're going to talk about. That's probably one of the things I'm going to be doing this Father's Day weekend. But also we want to talk about some arcade and gaming news. That's what we're here for. So as always, I'm your host, P-Dubs. With me are my co-hosts, Michael B. the Game Genie, Detroit Love, and Nostalgia. How are you, gentlemen?
You know how we do.
I'm so good. I'm so good.
You're so good.
Piece of shit, Mike. In case you're not sure what's going on, P-Dubs, right here. Here you go.
Did you really put that in there?
Oh yeah, he did.
Oh, and okay, and that's what Garage Gamer's talking about. Okay, I was like, wait a minute, I didn't say anything controversial in the opening of the show. What shots were fired? Happy Father's Day, shots fired.
Oh Mike.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Well,
I'm gonna come.
It might be a little bit of a somber episode because unfortunately we did get some bad news for our little home arcade niche today from the folks over at iiRcade, which we'll dive into for a bit. But there's also other things going on in the world of gaming, etc. And we'll have to just muscle our way through.
I forgot it was Father's Day. It's Juneteenth weekend, and my 25th wedding anniversary this Tuesday coming up. So we're gonna be celebrating this weekend. So I forgot about Father's Day.
Happy anniversary, man!
Yeah, thank you,
Carl. Can I ask you a question? Are you also filing for bankruptcy? Why is there no power on in your room?
Hey Google, turn on the arcade for Michael B.
I don't know how to help with that.
See? She said, "Who the fuck is Michael B?"
You tried to get his arcade messed up again?
Hey Google, turn on the arcade.
Carl's been drinking. Carl was at Twin Peaks before you came here.
Look, Michael B, don't ever say that name. It's called the Spot. Okay, you don't know
who's Spot, man. Don't you can't mess that up, man.
Michael B's always trying to call everybody out, telling people's real names, where they hanging out at,
where people live. He does all.
Right.
He's a massive doxer. Now he's giving away all the secret hang spots. It's not good, man.
I love
You're
life.
out of control, Michael B. I got a solution for that.
Oh, be nice.
I've been so nice to everybody. Why be mean to me?
Ooh,
loving the Jaws t-shirt that Mike is rocking tonight. Loving the Joker hat that Rastal just got. And my son has that same Joker hat, by the way.
Oh, same one?
Yeah, same one.
I love it. It's like leather all the way through. This little thing is like cast iron. It's like solid.
It's really cool. I see a lot of children wearing them.
Yeah.
I got the Wonder
This is
Woman,
like the adult children's version. That's good.
One today.
So,
Carl, you got a really nice polo going. It's beautiful. Yeah. I like the color combination. The gray on the navy on the white looks really sharp.
Yeah, you should see my nipples for this.
Awesome. Carl's got his best Jim's dad outfit on from American Pie. Keep it real, homies.
Carl's perfectly dressed. He can host a Super Game Room Dudes and then go to a reasonably priced business casual dinner after this.
Yep. Thanks, Chris, for commenting on the Ghostbusters shirt. Yeah, they got another movie coming out, man. That's pretty exciting. Love to see the Ghostbusters franchise continue. But we're going to talk a bit more about movies and stuff when we feel like cheering ourselves up, because there's a lot of cool, exciting movies that just that we want to talk about a little bit later. But also let's catch up on the world of retro gaming. Now, first off, we should probably say hi to who's here in the live chat. So if you're here, let us know. We always say hi to who's here in the live chat. So let me scroll over to my other screen here. Let me see here. All right, let's see who's here. Sound off if you're here. Let me know. Okay, we got Hobby Hands, Bobby's Arcade World. Paul Bears is here. Ritual Dello, Apex, Cornycade, Cornercade, Kevin Clausen, 720, Eric Wrights, Retrocade, Bad Astra, Chris Klingsboro, Sonic Fun, The Dawn of Time, 19K Fox, Bill's Retro Gaming Show, Mike Hawkirks, Hasso, Scott James from Down Under. Always love it when we see Scott. Andy's Game Room is here. Zero Redux is here. We'll try and not be as lame tonight, Zero. Wink. Something I hear all the time, Mike. Frank D, Mad Astra Gaming, Galaga Guy 88, Dr. Freeman is writing prescriptions in the live chat, Chris Zeke, and of course his lovely wife, Mrs. Zeke, Mark Whitman, Danny Z, Alfred Berger, Paul Barris. Oh man, it keeps coming. It keeps coming. Bo knows Tecmo. We got to say hi to Bo. Bo's always here every week. Who else is here? Oh, look at that. Mystery Encoder's here, guys. We're going to talk a little bit about the Mystery Encoder tonight as well when we talk about iiRcade. And I think that's about it. Cogs R Us. Who else? Sheldon, Quentin, Terry, T-Slayer, Digipunk. Okay, we got everybody. All right. Woo! That was a mouthful. Let's go this camera view. There we go. That way we're filling up people's cell phones. All right, Mike. Break the news. What happened today in the world of iiRcade? Let's just kick off the show. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off.
We're going into the deep, heavy stuff. Oh,
yeah.
We're going to start the show off
We'll cheer up later and have some fun. But go ahead, Mike.
All right, so we're going to talk about the really sad stuff first. AtGames is hosting a Dads and Grads sale from June 16th to 18th on Amazon.
That dancing grad sale.
No. I digress. So today was a sucky day. At iiRcade put a post up yesterday. They were going to be having a live stream today. And I remember looking at it and saying, geez, this kind of reads like an obituary. And I, read a lot of times, looked into a lot of these red flags. And I said, these are things to be concerned about. But I'm going to be honest with you. I never thought today would be the day they would make that announcement. And I was cut off guard because I started watching it. Sure enough, John came out the gate and he told us right off the gate, iiRcade was going to be closing down. The company was going to be filing for bankruptcy. So it sucks. It was hard to watch. Really sucks for the community. Sucks for John and Michael, but they're good guys. I'm sure John will move on to his next venture. Michael's not going to be unemployed long. I mean, if AtGames or iiRcade went up, don't scoop him up. They'd be crazy. And honestly, he's a AAA developer. He could go back into that. There's a million things he can do. Sucks for the people, all the people that work there. It sucks for the community. It's a sad day.
Thank you. Sound really choked up.
What?
You sound choked up. Are you
Yeah,
okay?
it sounded like you cried when you were
Just a little bit, yeah.
Right.
You sounded like very soft in your throat. You're like holding back the tears. Tell us how you really feel, Mike. Just tell us what's on your mind.
So anyways, going back to the announcement, it wasn't all bad news, though, because we did find out that the iiRcade was going to be closing down, but we did find out that the long-awaited GRS deck for the iiRcade is still going to be coming out, and Glenn is going to be working on developing a switchboard as well that will also with, I think it was called a SBD, or I can't remember, but he's going to be coming out with a switch that also connects to the deck and to the iiRcade. It's going to allow you to keep your iiRcade stock, but also switch over to a emulation board. And now we're going to be able to bring our own games to iiRcade. So there's a life after death for the console, which is kind of a silver lining. I mean, it's not the silver lining any of us wanted, but there it was. The other thing too is they did finally tell us about their future plans. They showed us where they were going with the seamless gameplay. And they introduced this concept of playing iiRcade games on your phone. We can talk about that too.
Yeah, Mike, I was going to say SBC, single board computer, like a Raspberry Pi. SBC.
A JBC, Junior Bacon Cheeseburger.
That's also a good one. That's a really good one. Okay.
Um,
Well,
well, Nostalgia, what was your reaction? Because you just kind of found out about this a little bit last minute as well.
Yeah.
What was your just like initial first impression? We're going to dive into it a bit as well as get our viewers' feedback and all that kinds of stuff.
So I've got like two. I don't want to say mixed feelings, but I got like two bags that I'm pulling from on this. First one is I'm disappointed. I've said from day one that I thought iiRcade had the largest potential out of any of the products, especially the multi-kid products. But out of all the products, I thought iiRcade had the best potential.
Mhm.
And then after I had it for a little while, I actually still feel like it's the best built arcade, and it's still my favorite to play just because
Mhm.
you've got access to some really cool Android ports and whatever on it. And then I start dipping into the disappointment in terms of like there's so potential is lost. There was so much potential that is now lost. But then on the other side, I'm feeling like I saw this coming. Like they were struggling for a little while. Unit sales, I don't think were really moving that well. As soon as they announced that they were no longer producing hardware, that's a pretty heavy line. And they can come up with whatever excuse. It's not a good position to be in where your number one SKU, your only real hardware SKU, is not producing volume. And then we got the announcement today, and I was just like, it sucks, but like, I think everyone kind of saw it coming. I think the biggest thing that I feel a little bit conflicted about was that obviously lots of people were making videos about the future of iiRcade. There's lots of things happening where people are saying, you know, companies going bankrupt, they're not doing this, they're not doing this. These are all the signs of bankruptcy. And then Zhang did come out and he said, no, guys, don't make assumptions. This is not the case. And then we kind of get this announcement today, and it's like, I mentioned this the last time that we talked about iiRcade. I feel like often there's too much communicating about the things that shouldn't be communicated. So that's kind of where I'm at. I just feel like I wish there was less communications about the more personal stuff about the business. I think that there should have been more business decisions made rather than like trying to keep everybody nice and tight like a family, because you know it's still a business. It's got to make money and it's got to move forward. So that's where I'm at.
I said to someone today, and I do completely feel this. I think they were too transparent with the stuff they shouldn't have been transparent on, while being too tight-lipped about the stuff they should have been transparent on.
What about
Yeah.
you, Detroit Love? What was your like first gut impression reaction when you heard the news today?
Well, as always, I ain't hear about it until the show started because I'm out, living my life, living my best life.
Hey, Carl, guess what?
You busters.
iiRcade is going bankrupt.
Yeah, so I hear that.
Yeah.
So I understand we're going to get some merch on at great prices for sure. But I've been a fan. I am a huge fan of arcades. I've been even when they had their Kickstarter. I wasn't initially excited for them because it looked pretty weird at the start, and they made some modifications that I still wasn't happy with because I liked the backlit marquee, which they eventually did get to. So I've been a fan and rooting for them, and I always saw them as an underdog because they just had such a huge undertaking, and compared to the other players leaving well-played games aside, they had the biggest hill to climb. And like Nostalgia was saying, I had the most hope for them because they had the best technology, hardware than the others, but their model was just a little different. And so they had a big hill to climb with the multi-K with App Store, right? Where most people, when they're buying a multi-K thing, they're putting all the free games on it, right? A PC in there, and they're playing any game they want. So to go with that concept of the App Store was awesome, but it left them on an island by themselves to try and get people to go away from the free verse into the paid App Store was a big challenge to them. So they really had to come out with some extremely well games to take advantage of that hardware, and they just never materialized. So I was rooting for them. I wanted them to succeed. I bought the cabinet. because I wanted them to succeed. So I'm kind of bummed out. It's the reality of it is when the kids come who don't really know the older games, they love the iArcade. I love it as with the jukebox, and it's the best sound system in my arcade. So I definitely have a fondness for it. I wish I had gotten the golden before those disappeared, so I could have the backlit marquee. But yeah, I'm kind of bummed about them. But I can't say I didn't see the writing on the wall. I was hoping that they would be able to find a way to pull out, but it's a tough market to work in to begin with, and they just had such a big hill climb to try and get there and be successful in this market.
Carl, you know that pulling out is one of the hardest things to do.
People pull out. I got to get kicked out.
Excuse me. All right, we got $5 super chat here from hopefully, if I say your name wrong, I apologize. Jasmir or Yasmir.
Jasmine
Rather than going portable, I think teaming up with Steam to improve their library would have been a better move. Yeah, I mean, possibly an AntStream Steam type service would have been better, but then again, I guess they were going to do an iArcade app, which they did reveal today or show like, hey, this was going to be phase 2. And the whole goal of that was to have an app available for everyone who's got a cell phone or whatever, or an Android device, tablet, to play games on. And, if they were willing to download the app and buy the games, well, now you just greatly increase your user base. Although it's a product that probably a lot of us wouldn't have utilized or needed, since a lot of us have the actual arcade cabinets, it could have potentially helped increase their user base dramatically. And if you think no one would have bought it, well, I mean, there's a lot of people who use AntStream today that, I never thought that, I thought that would die off kind of like PiePacker. But AntStream actually did the right thing. They got some games worth playing on AntStream, right? Like Mortal Kombat and things like that. And if they had grown that user base, they probably would have had the revenue then to possibly secure those licenses and bring better games to the platform. But it's just unfortunate that that happened. So yeah, I understand why they were doing what they were doing with the software stuff, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, the reality of it is most of their games were like Android-based games that people can play on their tablets or phones. And if you're a developer, it's a hard sell to say, forget the phones and tablets and all those millions of devices out there. Come make these for my really small niche market. So what I mean. And even for them to make it compatible, the games that we like, the wrestling game, the games that they have got that's really good, they had to make modifications for that thing to work on the cabinet. And really, what was the motivation for most developers that had games that would be fantastic on their platform? It was very little motivation for the market size that they had to invest people into making those changes, and that's just the truth of it.
Yeah. Super chat here from Stone Cold. Every time I see Stone Cold, I want to hear the glass breaking.
Yeah.
iArcade was dead 4 months ago. People just ignored listening to specific YouTubers like UAG, OTG, Messiah, King Creel, etc. Yeah, there's been a lot of stuff floating on the internet the last few months that, when you hear one thing a few months ago, like I think the first thing that I had caught was my buddy Stephen Haywood, the Tech Buzz, when he said, and geez, this was back in February, I think. It's back in February. He said they're going to be closed by July. And at first you're like, well, why? And they point to a reason. You're like, okay, that reason can be explained. And then they point to a different reason. You're like, that reason can be explained. But especially the last 3 months, the amount of information that has been coming out by so many different sources, other content creators, and things like that. It's like, holy crap, it all kind of makes sense. Once you add it all together, I mean, hence why I did a video, it was like 3 weeks ago saying, hey, man, the writing on the wall ain't good. And I think iArcade should just come clean, rip the Band-Aid off, tell us what's going on. 3 weeks later, here we are. So,
let's also be clear, too. Outside of the other people that were reporting on stuff, whether or not you wanted to believe them or not, let's just be honest. Some of the things iArcade were saying were just really concerning. Like, I mean, the biggest one being like, we're not going to make consoles anymore. And you're like, well, that's pretty much the point of your company is these consoles. That's the reason why we're buying these games to play on your console. So it was kind of hard to hear. That was the first one. Like, I just don't understand. And then they came out, Double Dragon's gone from their store. So, especially lately, they were throwing out like mines where you just couldn't walk around them without saying, okay, there's something wrong here. There's a super chat there from Prince Malcolm. You took it off the screen. I wanted to throw it back up so we didn't miss it.
Well, yeah, I want to actually give a special shout out to Prince Malcolm, guys. If you've been following this little home arcade niche closely, especially the iiRcade brand, you guys would know that there was one guy out there who was probably their biggest advocate. And he wasn't a YouTuber. He didn't have a YouTube channel. He wasn't making YouTube videos or anything like that. He was simply a guy who was going on Twitter as well as email, reaching out to developers saying, hey, there's this really cool arcade console. I'm very excited about it, and I would love for you to talk to them and bring your games to the platform. And that was Prince Malcolm. And I think there were several games that got released as well as several games pending that now we'll never see that, it's because of Prince Malcolm. So, big shout out to you, Prince. As you can see here, there were so many interested developers, so many that it didn't make sense for them to go bankrupt. Then you have Itch.io and others. So big shout out in the live chat to Prince. Prince deserves all the credit there. He did great work for that community. He did great work. Like, I'm sitting here, like, if I go back and look at my iiRcade playlist, I was making maybe an iiRcade video. Like, at first, when they first came out, making lots of content, but then, it's been 5 years. So over the last couple of years, me, myself, personally, was making maybe one iiRcade video a month. But then I would still see Prince and other people on Twitter and Discord reaching out to folks saying, hey, man, would love to get these games on this platform. The community tried to help the company. Isn't that interesting, Mike? Like, I don't think I've ever seen that before.
So, yeah, and speaking on that, as someone else who makes like iiRcade videos and stuff like that, it also got harder to make it because we were making iiRcade videos, and it seemed like less and less people were watching them too. So for us, from a time perspective, it just seemed like interest was kind of dying down. Like, we still did them, but didn't seem like the community was as interested. So you could kind of notice there was a little bit of a downward slope in interest for the company as well.
$2 super chat from Jim Harper. Is there any future for cabs with licensed games? Well, I mean, Arcade 1-Up's still in business. AtGames is still in business. They have licensed games. Numbskull, New Wave Toys. I think there's still opportunity there. If companies and publishers who own IP rights to something feel they can make money off something, they're going to try and throw it out there. We'll see and see what sticks.
Yeah, like I said, there was just in that app store niche where Arcade 1-Up is appealing to people that want these things to look as close as possible to the real arcade, and AtGames is appealing to people who want to be able to put anything in it, put their own PC in it, and play with it. So that's a true multi-cade. iiRcade was somewhere in the middle, and they had to be able to draw people into that and to buy into that concept. And like I said, it was a tough battle to begin with.
So I think we can have this conversation, or it's up to you if you want to shut me off. But I think one of the biggest problem was their model was never about making money with the arcades. They were loss leaders, and it was always about making money with the games. And we said till we were blue in the face, maybe the games they're bringing to the console aren't really the games that are going to sell a ton of stuff. And I will always say, I don't know if it was out of their control or in their control, but it seemed like more thought and more effort should have went into getting specific titles instead of trying to get as much content as possible. Like, we would see those ColecoVision games come out every week and be like, Jesus Christ. So sorry for anybody who liked those, but it's hard when you're a company that's relying on income from games when you don't have a lot of the games that people in the community want to buy. And other people might defend the games till they're, red in the face. I will say that the library overall is a little mid. I mean, there's no...
A little mid?
Yeah.
Just a little. It's not good. The library is not good. It's not good. And there, even if you're one of those people that thinks the library is good, like do some reflecting on that. Think about like reflect on your life a little bit. Think about the direction you've gone and where things have gone wrong. No, what I'm saying is, if you look at the library and you objectively take a step back and think, like, are the masses going to think that these are good games? Not you. Maybe you have an affinity to a specific title. That's cool. But are the masses going to be super interested in all the games that are coming out? Probably not. There's probably substantially less people that are interested in the last 15 to 20 titles that they've released than there was in, I think, the history of the company. Like, the games that were just coming out towards the end were just brutal. They were just brutal. So, but that's like part and parcel with the entire missed opportunity. You know.
So, by the way, I put a poll in the live chat, guys. I said, "Hey, what do you guys think? Just this live chat. What was iiRcade's biggest failure?" YouTube limits poll options to 4, but just so you know, for honorary mention, you could probably type it in the live chat if you think this was the biggest failure. The Mutant Football League was a huge punch in the gut for iiRcade. I think that affected a lot of customers' confidence and their ability to bring over port more modern games, which is what this whole thing was hyping. And
I think
that was a big thing as well. Took the
I
wind
think-
out of their sails.
I think you're right twofold on that, because it wasn't just a big disaster, but it also completely messed up how they shared information going forward. They got really protective, really secretive about the future. And I think a lot of the, videos and stuff like that came up in the last couple of weeks talking about, geez, are iiRcade in trouble? A lot of that was because iiRcade kept everything so close to the vest and didn't give people hope, didn't talk about projects, didn't give everybody any sense of excitement. So you see all this negative and there was no positive, and they were like, oh, well, we don't want to overpromise and stuff like that. And that exactly is coming from the place where they lost Mutant Football League.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Carl, you want to handle this one?
Go ahead.
What do we got here?
This one, right? Oh, wait, not that one. Hang on. Thanks for sharing that, Bones. This one right here. Sorry. Super chat.
Writes Retrocade. Thank you for the $7.99 Canadian dollar super chat. Didn't John D a year ago or so say he would help iiRcade with licenses? If that's the case, is this really a game issue or management one via John?
Well, that's an interesting question, but see, John D may have said that a year ago that he'd help iiRcade with the licenses, and perhaps John D could have hypothetically gone forward and made an offer to say, hey, I can extend these licenses and relicense them out to you, or help you establish additional licenses with some top tier game developers. But the reality is if you don't get the money to support the license, it's irrelevant how many options you have in front of you. If you can't afford to pay for those licenses and those royalties, often minimum guarantees, or there's upfront cash, like you've got to put X amount of dollars up front for certain titles. If you can't afford it, it doesn't matter what options you have sitting in front of you and who's willing to help you, unless somebody's willing to write a check. So,
right, and if you don't have a large enough user base, then some of those developers would definitely lose interest if they have some alternatives to be able to push out those licenses as well. Again, we're looking at the cabinets, but they have Steam and all these other platforms that these licenses would get greater value than such a small niche community such as the iiRcade. So again, they just had a large hill to climb.
Yeah, sorry guys. I noticed that Mark Whitman put a comment in the live chat saying his super chat was missed. I just scrolled up through the entire chat feed since the show started, and I'm not seeing your super chat, my friend. I don't know if it didn't go all the way through on YouTube's end. But if you just type out what you typed out, let me know. Put it on screen. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, so Rates Retrocade, I apologize. I'm not disagreeing with you that he said it. I'm just telling you that I don't think there was ever any follow through. That's all I'm saying. John D may very well have said it. I think I remember what you're talking about. There was never any follow through.
Yep. This one right here is a really good point. It takes money. It takes money to succeed in business, right? It takes money to make money, and it appears they never had enough. I mean, they started via Kickstarter, so they got some Kickstarter funds, as well as they secured some financing and stuff. I think. Do you guys remember they even published it on their website that they had gotten like a 5 million seed fund.
Mhm.
But of course, they had to spend a lot of that on getting game licenses and getting their operation up and running and things like that. So they $5 million in today's world probably doesn't go very far, in my opinion.
No.
Maybe-
Production line, the die cast for the actual machines, for those new
Yeah.
machines, all that stuff costs money to build that and commit to that.
Well, let's pull your poll. Let's take a look at that.
All right, so I said, what was iArcade's biggest failure? There's a few polls we are going to throw up tonight. One of them I threw up earlier. I said, how do you feel about iArcade going out of business? Do you think it's awesome, sad, or don't care? 70% plus of the audience said they thought it was sad. What was iArcade's biggest failure? Game lineup, 73%.
That's interesting. That's
Yep.
interesting. Do you agree with that?
I think games sell products. So, yeah, I would have to say that, Like if they had come in and actually gotten some really, really cool stuff, I think it makes you want to buy it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Carl, what do you think? You think it's game lineup, marketing, social media, YouTube, cabinet appearance, leadership? Where does it sit on your shoulder?
Well, you can always find somebody that likes any game, but it's a rare thing to find a game that everybody likes, right? And so with their small market share, the small user base, every game they came out with had to be something that every owner wanted to buy, period. Without that happening, it left little room to succeed. If just 25%, half the people, whatever the case is, if it's not 100% at their user base, wanted that game as soon as it was announced and purchased it, it just wasn't going to happen. And they weren't producing games that everybody wanted to buy.
So, guys, we have Michael here in the chat, Michael Light, and he says, you guys want a deeper dive into getting games onto a platform like this? Gone over a bunch, but can always do more. And I think everybody here in the chat, P-Dubs, if you put this down as an option, what happened with iArcade? I think people were just so upset when Michael shaved off his mustache. They couldn't support the company anymore. You never should have shaved it off, Michael.
Mike,
Also,
where do you sit on that? Where do you sit on that poll?
Also, big shout out to Hobby Hands, who gifted 5 Super Game Ruminati memberships earlier in the show. Thanks so much for doing that, my friend. Yeah, what's nice about Michael kind of exiting, because I like Michael. He's a good egg. Is maybe, I don't know how his NDA works and whatever contracts or whatever he signed for his employment, but he did volunteer here. It would be nice to have him on in the future, talk a little bit more about game licensing and what goes into it. He did volunteer right here. So if you guys would like us to get Michael on a future show when he's got kind of like the all clear to share some information, that would be great. Let us know in the live chat.
I'd love to have him on. Never met him, so I didn't get the chance
He
to meet him
wouldn't
in
like
Chicago.
you. I know Michael is a really good guy.
He wouldn't like you.
That's
$5
wonderful. Thanks, Mike.
$5 super chat from Galaga guys. Switch has the worst hardware this gen, but has sold more than any other Nintendo console. Games matter more than hardware. So,
It's interesting, Mike. Where do you sit on that poll?
I've been 100% honest since every time we do this. I'm like, I don't know if it's possible, but it's quality over quantity. And I've always said, if you build it, they will come. I say this to AtGames with ArcadeNet. I will say it to iArcade, even though it's a mute point right now. But I will say, you know what? It probably would have been better to invest in bringing in one big title than getting 30 good titles that people might enjoy, but just aren't going to bring people to the stadium, right?
Yep. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Carl.
Oh no, and I was saying, and what Michael's saying expounds on what I was saying earlier, because I was saying that every person that bought it had to buy it, but you're right, Michael. Everybody that bought it had to convince somebody else to buy a freaking cabinet in order for it to really be successful.
yeah. You
Yeah,
know,
I don't
this
know.
is actually a pretty good point by Kevin Clausen. One good title versus 30 Atari games. Well, instead of saying Atari, let's say ColecoVision. You know what I mean? Like, I know
Well,
there's a
those
lot of
those
you
are
out there.
almost free. Let's
I know
use it
there's,
there.
I know they're only like, they were what, $2.99 a piece or $3.99 a piece, but
Right.
still, like, put more resources in, like, into the one good game. You know what I mean? Like, I guess one good game makes more sense than 30 pieces of what's that phrase that a lot of people use when they don't like games? Shovelware.
Yeah.
Shovelware, yeah.
They call it shovelware if they don't like it. That's pretty funny.
See, I look at
Yeah.
the whole situation maybe slightly differently than you guys. Um, when you put that up, my brain, and this isn't a shot at anyone in particular, but my brain does go to the leadership as like the biggest failure there. And it's not, like I said, not a shot at Jong or anyone else, but when you look at everything else, game lineup, marketing, social media, YouTube, all of that's cabinet appearance, all of that stuff are decisions made by the leadership. So if the game lineup is poor, ultimately that falls back onto the leadership team or the licensing team. So when I look at it, I'm like, yeah, definitely the game lineup was a massive problem. Definitely the licenses were a problem, but there were people behind those decisions that made those decisions, and you kind of have to like take ownership and take accountability as somebody in the leadership position. Like that's, I hate to say it, but I feel like the failure falls on the leadership and nothing else. But that's just my perspective there.
Yeah, so like I'll give an example. Like Mortal Kombat is one of the big games for Arcade One Up. I'm going to be honest with you. iArcade, AtGames, anybody can go and get Mortal Kombat today. It's not locked into Arcade One Up. It's just it costs a lot of money, and they got to look at it and take a risk on it, right? There's no reason either of these companies couldn't have got Mortal Kombat. There's just a really big dollar value, and you got to take that swing for the fences.
Yeah, there's yeah, it's one of those like it's the chicken before the egg argument, right? Like, do we get as much title, just blanket people with as many game options as possible, or do we have a very small like quantity within our catalog, but they're all really good mid to high level tier games? So I think it's just a challenge, and ultimately, when you've got a product like this, it's got to be like the big titles if you want to move units. If you want to keep a very small group happy, keep giving them small things. If you want to gain and grow, you need to be coming with like big titles. You need to be coming with big marketing pushes. You need to get your product in retail, as hard as that is. I know it's a really challenging thing, but it's got to show up somewhere. One of the retailers, just get it on a shelf, let people physically see it. That's gonna be a big seller as well. So it's unfortunate, but
do they get the dodo before the donut, or the donut?
that's exactly right. Yeah, you get the donut before the dodo.
I still
I-
like
I like Donut Dono.
man.
I was
Donut
like,
Dono
yeah,
is
they
great
got a
game.
winner here. Like, I think it's a great
Yeah.
game. I enjoy playing it again on Evercade.
Yeah.
I know that people are going to shit on it. There were some good games. It's not like they didn't have good games. It's just like, here's the thing, and not everybody is willing to dig through the bargain bin to find hidden gems, and that's kind of the model that even Jong himself praised on. He said, I have no respect for the people that don't play these games to know whether or not they're good, but you're not gonna. People aren't that way. People aren't gonna search through the bargain bins. They want to know up front, I am getting something that's a home run right off the bat.
Right,
So
and then
I have a question real quick, if you don't mind.
go ahead.
So I didn't hear the announcement, so I'm not sure what happened. So is the store going away immediately? Can I
Wednesday.
go
Next week.
get Dodo?
Next week.
So
Wednesday.
if I don't get the Dodo, Donut Dodo before next Wednesday, I'm stuck. And the games I do have,
Well,
but do I still have?
According
those?
to this arcade community, if you don't buy Donut Dodo by next Wednesday, you will be ass out, Carl. So yeah, the store will be open until next Wednesday, and then after that, I guess they turn over the servers, and whenever the creditors decide to turn them off, they'll turn them off. I did put a poll in the live chat, guys. How do you guys feel about this GRS Ultimate Control Panel for iArcade still coming out, even though the company is now defunct? Do you think this is awesome, or why bother? Because the product is gone, company's out of business, and obviously Glenn's not going to make a ton of money off it. He's going to make some money off this thing, no doubt, but he's not going to make a ton of money off this thing because the user base who are probably going to purchase this a little bit small. So do you think this is a good idea? I do want to point out something before I go around the horn here with the panel. And here, let me take this off. I'm going to take the live chat off just for a second, guys. I know you like having it on the screen, but I was taking a look here. And here's something that I found interesting. So here is the link. Oh, you know what? We should put this in the live chat. So if anyone doesn't know where to go to buy their panel, if they're interested. So to connect this to, look right here. See that little port right there?
The USB.
So this little pin port here is how this panel is going to connect to the iiRcade PCB. There is a port on the iiRcade PCB, one of these little white doohickeys. So I'm assuming Glenn is going to have possibly a harness wiring cable included. Because remember, he found a way to get this working on original cabinet owners, right? Where they're going to be able to hardwire send-in light guns. There's no Bluetooth send-in light guns, right? And people are like, well, how did they make it possible when there's no USB port on the device? Well, they're going to be utilizing this here and probably some kind of cable or harness going into your PCB, and that's going to hardwire your connection. And obviously your gun plugs into the USB port on this device. So this is the first time Glenn has shown us the bottom of the control panel. So when I saw this earlier today, I was like, this is it. This is how it connects to the panel. It is a hardwired connection. It is not going to be a Bluetooth connection, all with this magical little port right here. So I just found that interesting. Figured I'd share that with you guys real quick. But besides that,
really
quickly,
quickly, Zero Redux says everyone who loves Donut Dodo and Modern Retro should buy Anal Lin on Switch.
Yeah.
You sure it's not Annalyn?
I read it as Anal Lin. I'm sorry.
Oh my god.
It's close enough.
It's
Close
Annalyn. And I've played it. It's fun. It's another great retro retro inspired indie game that you should check out. All right. So
if anybody's got Lynn's number, let me know.
So
sounds like she's into some wild stuff.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Mike.
So I bought Glenn's deck. I pre-ordered it today, and I'm gonna warn you, Canadian people, shipping sucks. It's like
half the price of the thing.
Yeah, it's half the price of the unit. But I pre-ordered it, and I'll tell you why. One is because I do want to keep my stock iiRcade games. I don't want that to go away. I've got a lot of games, so I want to enjoy it. But I also want to eventually add this switcher. Whether or not that's something that Glenn keeps doing. I know Glenn said he's going to talk to Mystery Encoder because he doesn't want to, take this away from Mystery Encoder. They want to work together. So whether it's the switch he comes up with or Mystery Encoder can find a way to do it, I want to be able to have the best of both worlds. I want to be able to play my original games. I love Riptide Renegade. I love Wizard of Walls. I love Saturn. I want to play that on the iiRcade. Oddmer, Dead Effect. Like I want that experience, the newer games that I was hoping there was going to be more of, but I also want to, put shit on it too. So I bought it. I invested. And also the other reason I invested, Glenn's awesome. I'm happy to support him. He's sent me so much stuff to test out over the years. I have no problem jumping in on this and buying one of his products.
Yep. I actually heard quite a bit of that conversation while I was working, so I wasn't really fully engaged in what was happening on the stream, but I was listening. And Glenn has a really good idea. The products that Glenn puts out are above and beyond some of the best quality products you can buy in the home arcade space. There's no question about it. If you've ever bought a product of his, it's better than anything else you can get, period. So buying the control deck, you're going to get a super high quality product. His idea about doing...
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Carl.
Oh, I was just going to read the chat, but go ahead and finish your thought.
Let me finish up. So the idea of actually having the single board computer that with the switch button to kind of switch between the main OS to a new custom OS or some other type of operating system is a really good idea. I think that if they can find a way, if what the conversation was is that Glenn is going to talk to Mystery Encoder and do some sort of a side loading or some sort of a soft mod to the actual board, that would be really interesting because you would be able to essentially unlock side loading like Android APKs. You can get RetroArch running on there. You can get standalone emulators. You can get APKs for additional Android titles, right? So all of that sort of thing would be really good, because then it does the same thing that Glenn wants to do, but it gives you the flexibility of, keeping everything natively on the main UI. Go ahead, Mike.
You guys have no idea how many videos Nostalgia is going to make about putting like RetroArch on the iArcade. He's tingling right now. He's like, oh, it's like the PlayStation Classic all over again.
Well, I do know that if Mystery Encoder does release a hack that works and is good to go, I'm pretty sure there'll be several content creators, myself included, who will check it out and put out some content there, tutorials, walkthroughs, etc. I know B Kong is going to do it as well for that particular hack, as well as cover Glenn's control panel. I did pre-order Glenn's panel today because I wanted to check it out. Even though I have a gold edition cabinet, it works with the gold edition cabinet. You get the trackball, the spinners, as well as the ability to connect another to put more games on it. He's going to have a separate board coming out later this year, which is interesting. Let's talk about this real quick. We got $5 from Octoman. It was expensive. It didn't have games. It didn't have licenses. It didn't have good looks. I felt like it had no soul.
That's a little rough.
That's a little rough feedback.
Holy
hey,
cow!
Can you do me a favor? Don't speak at my funeral.
That sounds like Mike's eulogy is going to be.
Yeah. So
didn't have the
interesting.
looks. He had a shit personality.
So interesting. We got 137 votes. Pretty good response on this poll. How do you feel about the GRS panel coming out? Still 55% said awesome, can't wait. 45% said why even bother. That's actually pretty close compared to the other polls we did earlier tonight. So there you go.
Well, and that's my interest here with the iArcade cabinet. It's such a well-built cabinet. The controls are great. So obviously, if things go haywire with the store, it's a freaking great cabinet to build upon for the modding community. So I expect to see the third-party vendors that have helped iArcade, that help Arcade One Up, to jump on that bandwagon and to make things available for you to expand upon that, because it's a great cabinet. Sound system is phenomenal, and so you can utilize those products with PCs and other single boards computers.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to find out what else we can put on it. Like, can I put Gremlins on my iArcade now?
Yep. So typically, if something goes wrong, a team doesn't accomplish the goals they set forth, business goes out of business, things like that. Typically, it's the captain of the ship, the one who goes down with the ship, right? The coach of the team. And the question is this: Jong had plenty of successes, but he also made plenty of mistakes in the 5 years that he ran this company. So this is probably going to be the most controversial poll of the night, but I want you guys to answer it honestly. If Jong became a comeback kid, recovers from this bankruptcy, and in the future decides to release another gaming product, would you trust him? Or yes, no, maybe. Maybe probably means you're going to want to see some extensive research on the product. I definitely want to get your guys' feedback about that, because I think leadership is huge. Yes, the game lineup never achieving what we all wanted it to be is a big failure. But, you ever hear the phrase, the buck stops here? Every decision that was made, Jong had to sign off on. And some of the decisions he made were bad decisions. Some of the decisions he made were great decisions. Would you trust him again? Let me know, guys, in the live chat. What do you guys think? Would you trust Jong again, Nostalgia?
That's a really tough question. Earlier on, we had the other poll that came up as like, what was the main failure point? I said leadership. So
I don't want to leadership.
I did. I would vote leadership, and I would continue. I stand behind that. Would I trust him again? I don't believe in the idea that if you screw up once or twice or 3 times that you should never be trusted. Some of the most successful entrepreneurs have failed 10 times before they found that one product or that one service that really worked out. So I would say maybe. And the reason I would say maybe is that there was, as you said, many, many mistakes that were made with the iArcade. And you would hope that Jong learned from all of those mistakes. And if he does come to the table 2 years down the road with a different gaming product, I would expect before I made a purchasing decision that there'd be some sort of evidence, or I'd be able to see from the way that they're marketing the product that the lessons that he should have learned from the iArcade were implemented in this new product. And if it appears as though that he's actually, going on a right path and making some good decisions and the product makes sense, I would support it. But from my perspective, it's a hard maybe. I got to see what he's got going to come up to the table. I don't ever say no to anything. It's always a maybe. Except, no, there's a couple things I say no to, but Mike
There's not
knows all
much
about
Nostalgia
those.
says no
I was
to.
going to say,
Nostalgia's eager. He'll offer stuff that you don't even want. You've never even heard of before. What the hell is a rusty trombone, Nostalgia? And why do you want me to do it? I will also say it's a maybe. I really like John, but from this experience, I've definitely learned that we have a very different taste in games and what games we feel are quality. So I would question any future product he has. I would have to take a look at the game lineup before I would make an investment in purchasing the device. So it's tough. I've said it all along. Like if you go back and watch my iArcade reviews, I absolutely love the machine he put out. The machine is super high quality. Love it. One of my favorite experiences was building that. I love the cabinet. It's just I always tell people, man, go look at the game library and make sure there's enough stuff here for you to be interested, because game library is suspect.
What about you, Detroit Love? You have an iArcade. Would you trust that team if they came back with a whole new product? We don't know what it could be. A handheld, could be a streaming thing, could be anything. Maybe an arcade.
Yeah, I think I gave them a big opportunity from the beginning because, like I said, I thought he was on the wrong track with the design of the original cabinet. I thought if he truly listened and made all the changes up front, I think we would have had a better cabinet to begin with, and this gold version probably would have been the first cabinet, and then he could have built upon that. So I think he started a few steps behind. And the other side of it is, I think this, I don't know if you guys agree with this or not, but I think this window for the home arcade is closing. I think that, if we look at the ages of the people who truly love arcades and the demographics of us, what I mean? And just in this panel here, there's a wide range of age, but that's really the meat of this community, unless you're appealing to younger folk to have games that they want to stand up to a cabinet when they're used to sitting at the computer or sitting on the couch playing on the PS5 and those type of things to get there. I think the window for this market is closing. I truly think the opportunity for them to succeed in this home space is dwindled or passed with this failure here. But can they come into a different market? Because the natural progression, for arcade people love that we went into the console, right? The Super Nintendos and those type of things. Can a company make that transition to make those things retro and want people to have those, to play those console games back on the couch, but playing those retro games? It's hard to say, but I think this window is closed for them. If they're able to get into another market, will I have the confidence in them? It would be very tough. It'd be a tough sell for me because they didn't listen completely on the cabinets, or it took them too long to make that change. And then they definitely didn't listen on the game selection to make that change happen fast enough to get the proper licenses and agreements for them to be successful. So it would be a hard sell for me the second time around.
Yeah, I hear you. Like if Jong was to launch another big Kickstarter anytime soon, I would be hard pressed to back it. You know what I mean? With everything that's happened and all the information that has come out, especially the last few months. I have no ill will towards Jong. He's always been good to me. Have no ill will towards Michael. He's always been good to me. Really nice guys to talk to, hang out with. things like that. But if he came out with something new, I probably would keep it at an arm's length until verified that it's good to go. So we put a poll in the chat: if Jong releases another gaming product, would you trust him? And it's very much neck and neck. Well, the no's are at 51%, the yeses are at 24%, and the maybes are at 25%. So there you guys go, right there. Boom. All right. Anything else we want to talk about with the iArcade stuff? We've actually gone a whole hour. I didn't even.
I know
notice it.
it's crazy.
We've had such a interesting conversation. I didn't even notice how quickly time went by. If I had Qbert tag it, yeah, I probably would follow Qbert, but I know you're just teasing me, and I'll tease you with my hands.
Yeah, and you know what? Again, no offense to anybody that liked the games on the system. If you liked them, that's fine.
Yeah.
We're talking from more of a 1,000-foot level on, what's going to sell. It might be perfect for you, but from a mainstream appeal reach, that's kind of where we came from. And for the people saying what many mistakes, he just ran out of money. Well, I mean, you run out of money because you're not making enough money. Like, let's be honest here. And that comes from making mistakes. So,
and you also run out of money if you're mismanaging the money as well. So there's two sides of that blade. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know, he had his mix-up or issues with the first Kickstarter that he ran, whatever that one was. Then he delivered on the iArcade, and every single Kickstarter backer got their machine. Like, there wasn't any issues on that. So he did deliver on the Kickstarter, and he successfully closed the Kickstarter. So it's just really, it depends on what the next idea is. It depends on what it is, how he's implementing it, what the business model is, the way that he positions the company, the way that he's interacting with the community. There's a lot of things that you can look at. There's a lot of red flags that you'll be able to see right away. And then you just got to decide. I mean, in the world of business, I don't think that there's like a 3-strike rule and you're out. Like, I don't see that. I think that any person who's running a business.
This is the best comment, because we were there.
So warm. Damn warm.
We were there. The building, because they were leasing an office in the building, and the building manager doesn't have the air conditioner running on the weekend, which I honestly is very common because, where I work, we have a very fancy office in Scottsdale, Arizona. That my company leases an office in a fancy building in Scottsdale when I do go into the office, although I work from home primarily. But they also turn the air conditioner off on the weekend because none of the companies are there, right? But the fact that they couldn't talk them into leaving it on for those events. Come on, man. It was so god awful hard to be in those rooms during those game and brews.
I think before we go, it's easy. We're looking at this from a complete business standpoint, but at the end of the day, all of us here really liked John. We really liked Michael. We liked the product. None of us wanted this to happen, and we're all pretty bummed out about it. So that's the truth. So, I like my iArcade. I'm happy with the experience I had with it, and I'm glad it existed.
And I definitely hope that it remains beyond the company.
Yeah.
That I don't want to turn it on one day and the thing doesn't, run any games or give me some type of funky error or something.
Well,
so I'm hoping that's not the case.
Well, they did announce today, as long as you download all your games directly onto your arcade by next week, you're going to keep those games for as long as you own the machine or until the machine don't work anymore. So you're not going to lose your games. Which, silver lining. I mean, when I look back here at this Space Invaders cabinet, I'm like, yeah, I got this arcade back here I have about 200 games. I only have about 400 games on the arcade. I have about 200 games on there. That's pretty nice for a multi-cade, you know what I mean? And stuff. But that leads into the question I asked. What are you guys going to do now with your iArcades? I put a poll in the live chat. If you own an iArcade, what are you going to do with it now? Are you just going to keep it, enjoy it as is with whatever games you purchased? Are you going to keep it and mod it with a GRS panel or maybe software mods? Maybe Team Encoder will do something. Are you just going to throw it in the trash, or are you going to try and sell it?
You're just
I'm
gonna
gonna-
throw it out. Yeah,
I'm
just
gonna
gonna-
donate it
they
to
would-
Some
19K
people would.
Fox.
Some
so he
people
can
would.
shoot it.
In fact, 11% of poll respondents have said they're going to throw it in the trash.
Why would you throw it out and not sell it? That's
So
like unless
people
it's
do it.
broken. Why would you
Oh,
throw it
some
out?
people do.
Let's
Stupid
be
response.
honest. It's
Yeah.
hard to sell in the secondary market even when it was active.
Yeah.
So,
You
but
could
now
easily
that
sell it
you
for
can mod
$50.
it, now that you can mod it, and I think that will bring it up quite a bit, right? Like worst
Yeah.
case scenario, man, tear the guts
Yeah.
out of it and just stick something in it. Rebuild it as
Mike,
a
what would you
multi-cade.
stick in it?
What?
What would you stick in it?
Don't
Big
worry,
meaty treat.
Don't worry, Kevin. That was the last poll, Kevin. That was the last poll of the night.
So I got a funny story for you now. My sister-in-law was out with her husband there yesterday, and they went to Subway, and he got the Italian BMT, and she said, "What does BMT stand for?" And he said, "Big meaty treat."
Well, my recommendation to people who actually own an iiRcade today is this, and you'll notice that the poll, the audience already knows what to do with it. My recommendation is keep it, hang on to it. You know, whether you have 20 games on it or 300 or 400 games on it, you know, keep it, because what's nice is with this GRS panel, you'll be able to still play those games as well as be able to possibly add more games to the system. And then also, if there's a software hack that comes out which completely opens up the system for you to load different kinds of apps and things, that would be really cool as well. And you'll have access to play even more games. So my recommendation to people is not to throw it in the trash, is wait and see what the community comes up with. And I'm sure a lot of great content creators out there like Nostalgia and Bkong and others will do tutorial videos.
Oh, Versal's
And,
going to make so many videos.
He's going to make so many videos. I'll probably
I'm
make
gonna
some
make
videos
so many
too.
videos, guys.
Yeah. Thanks so much for the $2 super chat, Rights Arcade. Yeah, do us a favor, guys. If you've enjoyed the discussion, it's probably been one of the more difficult episodes
Oh yeah.
for us to do. So we appreciate your support. We've had over 300 people here the entire stream. We greatly appreciate it. Hit the thumbs up if you've enjoyed the discussion. We've enjoyed talking with you and getting your honest feedback.
Oh, Canada Phil, yes. So now we embrace piracy, dude. We do a show with Nostalgia. We always embrace piracy.
Wait, hold on.
I think he. Wait, hold on. I think he was talking about
I
iiRcade,
know.
and you know what? This is kind of a. Oh my god, dude, get that off of there.
No,
Put
no,
this
no. That's
stupid
got to
thing-
stay.
No,
That's got to
no,
stay.
No,
What's
get
gotta
that off
stay?
of there.
What's going on here?
Get that off of there. I got rid of that. All right. So
Lame.
here's what's interesting, and I don't know how to say this, but I feel like Jong was trying, and Michael trying to give owners something to smile about. Like whenever you deliver bad news, you try to find some way to give people something to walk away from, and maybe it's not as painful, right? So, but it's kind of odd to me, a little odd to me, that this is a company who was devoted to legally licensed games. The final thing that they have to give the community is access to play games illegally. It just seemed out of place. And trust me, I'm excited about it. You guys know me. I love doing that kind of stuff. If you do that kind of stuff, trust me, I love doing that kind of stuff too. It just seemed kind of weird. Like it would have been great if they're like, you know, I don't know. I guess there was no other way to deliver any kind of positive news at the end of the day. But so I'm trying to tell myself they were just trying to, what's the term? Give people something to walk away from and be like, okay, you know what? Like I'll still be. I don't need to throw my machine in the trash. Like
Yeah.
maybe that's what they were trying to do, but it just seemed weird. You know, like their final act. It just seemed weird. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Is it
No.
too soon? Can we not
No.
have this conversation? Is
No,
it
Nah,
too
dude.
soon?
It seems appropriate.
It's certainly weird.
And I'm
but
all for it. Trust me, I'm all for it. Like
they
I
didn't
don't
officially do it, right?
They're
I
not the
don't
ones
think-
who are doing it.
one thing that I had wanted iiRcade to do over the years was not give us the ability to sideload our own ROMs, because that would have gone completely against the mission statement of their company. And we also have another company that gives us easy access to do that. What it would have been nice though if they at least opened up the platform or had the ability, which you really can't do when you have HDMI out, but to connect other devices. You know what I mean? Connect other consoles and things like that and be able to use their controls. Like, I think that would have helped them maybe with some hardware sales. Maybe some people would have been like, cool. What do you think, Nostalgia? Do you think I'm wrong?
I don't think you're wrong. I think you're going about it the wrong way, though. I think what they should have done is they should have worked hard to get the Google Play Store installed on there as an app.
Yeah, Google Play and Stream. Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah, that would have been cool. I saw
give people the option to download or buy apps, Android apps natively to run on the device. And if they want to download emulators, then they can do that and find a way to load up those games themselves. But that could have also been something that would have been pretty handy.
Yep. Andy's game room. No, you're right. It's kind of ironic, but what's left, it's like we have no other good news to give. We'll give them this. It just seemed kind of odd at the time, but I'm all for it. I pre-ordered. I want to check out Glenn's control panel. So yeah, it is what it is.
Oh yeah. So before we forget, thank you very much, Rights Retro K, for the super chat. Hit the thumbs up if you haven't. Great show. That would be appreciated, guys. Don't feel obligated, but it's cool if you do it. But Heavy Metal Titans actually was going to be coming out for iiRcade. Unfortunately, I mean, the company went down before they could get it out. But as we found out on Glenn's show earlier tonight, it actually is going to be coming out for free on iiRcade. They, did some hard work today, got it finished up, so it's going to be on the store, and that's the free game that's going to be available. Last game on iiRcade. So go check out Heavy Metal Titans. It's on Steam today if you want to play it that way. But if you want it for free, it's free on iiRcade.
You might have to use, just a heads up there, if you guys try to play it on Steam. You might want to use an Xbox One. Is it Xbox One controller, Mike?
Yeah, that's right. So I was part of one of the angriest calls I've ever had with a developer there the other day, and I didn't even call him. Just the phone went off, and I was like, "What's this? Chris Williams, P-Dubs?" And then I pick up the phone, and I'm like, "What's going on, fellas?" And P-Dubs is laying into Chris. He's like, "This stupid thing doesn't work with this controller."
So unfortunately, on Steam, like my go-to controllers are like these 8-bit DOE controllers. Like I love these. I love when I'm playing on my Steam. These controllers aren't compatible with Heavy Metal Titans, nor is a Xbox 360 wireless controller. I think you're going to be stuck trying an Xbox One wire. Is yours wireless or wired?
Wireless, yeah, Bluetooth.
And what else did I try? I kept trying all these controllers and none of the controllers worked. I was like, Chris, no. I was like, none of these controllers work on your game, man.
Well, it's funny because you actually alerted them of the fact that the only thing they tested on was the Xbox One controller. They didn't know that you actually had to program your controller.
Yeah, so they're gonna add all that so that you'll be able to have more controller support on your PCs if you want to play it on Steam. But yeah, apparently they're going to put that. Is it in the iiRcade store?
I don't think it's there yet. I think they finished it up today, so it's going to be coming out relatively soon.
Yeah. Hang on. Let me see here. Hold on. I'm going to pull up the store right now just to be sure that we're giving the most.
And while he's finding that, I did went and purchased the Donut Dodo because I didn't have that. And then I also saw a Rebounce was in my library that wasn't installed. I have no idea what Rebounce is.
Free game. That's a Jang Pong reimagined.
Okay, so before we end this topic and talk about a couple other things, I do want to ask the community. I know we've been focusing a lot on the negative, but let's try and also kind of do what iiRcade did today. Let's try to end a little bit on the positive because guess what? Life moves on. In the long run, these are all just video games. And whatchamacallit,
they're way more than that, P-Dubs.
And you know what? Like, we're all still going to be here tomorrow. We're all still going to be playing retro games and having fun and things like that, even if iiRcade doesn't continue. But for those of you who own an iiRcade, why don't you do me a favor in the live chat? Tell me, like, what are just one or two of like your favorite games that you're excited that you have that cabinet, that you have those games. Like, what are some of your favorites on there? So like for me personally, still a big fan. It was one of the original releases after the Kickstarter launch, Oddmar. I think Oddmar is a great
Mhm.
game. And Oddmar is so much fun to play on the iArcade. You wouldn't expect it to be an arcade type game because it's technically a console platformer game, but it's so much fun. And it was the #1 seller on that system until I think Retromania Wrestling came out. But Oddbar for me definitely is one of my all-time favorites on there. Plus the Space Invaders. I love the Space Invaders Infinity Gene, the Space Invaders that iArcade released of the original game with all the different options for colors and things. Let's see here. What else do I absolutely love? Donut Dodo. I love Donut Dodo. Everyone can crap on Donut Dodo all they want. I think Donut Dodo is a great game. It's a great game. Wizard of Oz is good as well. I see that in the live chat. I mean, I'm trying to think of a couple others.
Escape
So, guys,
from
the
Popo.
question is turned into, instead of just saying your one, Dubs is just
Well,
going to tell you
I'm
his
throwing
17.
some out there because some people might not remember. I'm
No,
throwing some out
you're
there.
just going to go through all the top games, then we'll have nothing to talk about.
All right. Well, those are okay. I'll fine. All right. Let's go Detroit Love. Carl, couple of your favorites.
Riptide definitely took me a while to get that, but that's definitely it's a crazy game to have. I think it's called Dandara.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one, too. I've got that.
I like that one, and I think those are the two main ones I play. I'm just looking through my list here, and Wizard of Walls.
So good.
Definitely like that one. And the jukebox. Can't forget the jukebox. And a couple of people mentioned about the fireplace. I think before they close down on Wednesday, everybody should just download the fireplace so that everybody has that the Alyssa Milano version as well. And that'll sign us off in good taste.
Just
hold
a
on.
heads up. Wait.
The screensavers. Go ahead.
Just a heads up. If Mystery Encoder opens it up and we're able to tinker that much with it where we could adjust the screensaver on the device, I am so going to share that file with everybody. The Alyssa Milano video for Michael B.
So
don't
the screensavers come down from the server though?
I'm not 100% sure. Michael
know.
did say he was going to do a final one and send it out to all the cabinets. And I think once it's on the cabinet, it's on the cabinet.
Okay.
All right. Nostalgia, a couple of your favorite games, and then we'll go Michael B.
Oh, God. A couple of them? Only a couple? You got like 10.
Oh,
He actually had 27.
You had 27. Okay, well.
Oh, it's going to happen.
I asked Michael about it earlier. He said he's going to make it happen for me. I'm excited.
My top #1 game, Oddmar. If you don't have it for the iArcade,
Oddmar is great,
and you own the machine, do yourself a favor. I genuinely think it is the best game, period, on the platform.
It's a great game.
The next one that I will say, just Dead Cells. I think those are going to be the two that I would pick.
Okay.
Those are my top two, and I won't bore you with 25 more like P-Dubs did. I'll leave some for Mike.
Mike, what about you, man? A couple of your favorite games that you're happy are on your iArcade.
Riptide Renegade, Saturn.
You love
Wizard
that
of
Riptide.
Walls.
You love Mike. How many are you gonna do? You're gonna turn into B-Dubs if you keep going on with this list.
Riptide Renegade, Saturn, Wizard of Walls. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Those are the big ones.
I'm very surprised that not one of you, picked the Retromania Wrestling because you are immortalized.
Oh yeah! Thanks for reminding me, Carl. I really like Mayhem Brawler too.
In the ring to be able to actually see us, because I didn't know how to throw anybody out the ring or anything. But
I do like the toe jam and up too, actually.
I will say this about Retromania Wrestling. Retromania Wrestling is awesome, but the advancements they made it almost like too difficult. They lost the fun.
You can't say difficult. Stop playing. It's what?
You need to get good.
Hard.
Yes.
But honestly, they lost some of the charm that WrestleFest had with Retromania Wrestling because they tried to go to this new hard difficulty and they changed the gameplay too much. It wasn't as pick up and play and intuitive as WrestleFest was.
I agree 100%. It was
Here comes Scott James. Retromania Wrestling is crap. Oh, that was great. Okay, well, all our best wishes to Michael, Jong, and team, and on their future endeavors. And we appreciate the entertainment and stuff over the last couple of years. And that door is shut, and we'll see if that door is opened in another
One
way
last thing.
in the future. Go ahead.
One last thing.
Yep.
Can we all agree that Beersis was the beginning of the downfall?
Beersis?
Beersis. It all went downhill from Beersis.
Cocaine
Us all
Bear should have made it
Yeah.
on the cabinet. If Cocaine Bear had made it, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Oh man, if they put cocaine beer on it, this thing would still be alive.
Also, big shout out to the live chat. Obviously, I have the chat on the screen, so I didn't share every single game, but seeing so many people saying, what they really like is really nice to see. Nice way. Let's end it positively there.
Hold on, before we end it, we still Prince of Persia new game looks pretty good.
I'm not talking about ending the stream. I'm talking about ending the topic.
Okay.
So we'll probably hang out for about another 20 minutes. I know we've already been going an hour and 18, which is usually my cutoff, as you guys know. But we want to talk. We'll talk real quick about a couple movies, but we really want to talk about Prince of Persia. I know Nostalgia is so excited about it. He keeps messaging me all day long about Prince of Persia. So, but real quick.
Okay.
But before that, real quick, guys, who's going to see The Flash this weekend? Come on, who's going to see it?
I'm going to hope to get there. Yeah.
If you've seen it already, please, no spoilers in the live chat. I know it hit theaters maybe a day or two ago. Please don't ruin it for anybody. The only thing go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just saying, I've seen a few trailers.
You go ahead.
I haven't seen The Flash yet. So I'm hoping that I actually get to see The Flash. I saw more Batman and whoever else was there, but I don't think I've seen The Flash yet.
So can I say 3 words on why everybody should go see The Flash this weekend? Just 3 words.
Michael Keaton.
Michael fucking Keaton.
I can't wait to see it. I can't wait. My wife asked me, she's like, what are we doing Father's Day weekend? It's Father's Day weekend. We do whatever you want. And I'm like, I'm keeping it simple. I want to go out to a nice lunch, and I want to go to the movies, and I want to see The Flash. Now, I still haven't seen Transformers Rise of the Beast, but since The Flash is out, that kind of takes priority for me. I'm so excited to see Michael Keaton in the Batsuit again.
They actually changed the name of Transformers Rise of the Beasts.
What are you talking about?
It's got a new name now.
What is it?
It's Transformers Robots in Decline. Apparently the movie's horrible.
So there you go. So thanks so much for the feedback. Some people are like, Keaton was great, but the rest of the movie? Oh, don't tell me that. The only thing I heard is there might be 1 or 2 bonus scenes. Like, do I got to stay only halfway through the credits, or do I got to stay all the way through the credits?
Don't take your chances. You got to stay all the way to the end, buddy.
Yeah. Let us know in the live chat.
Always right to the end.
Well, while we're doing that, Nostalgia, you want to pull up all the...
Oh, I don't have anything ready. No.
You put it in our chat.
We were going to unveil Nostalgia's new segment on the show.
Oh, no.
What is that?
What is it?
Oh, guys, this may come out on season 3 when we finally get it done. I'm working on the intro for it, but Nostalgia has a brand new segment on the show where he talks about what's cool and hip for the younger crowd nowadays. Ladies and gentlemen, Nostalgia's millennial bullshit. Nostalgia, what do you want to talk about this week?
It was gonna be Nostalgia's millennial minute. He was gonna get 60 seconds to tell us all that's going on.
Millennial bullshit.
I thought that was it. All right, well, we'll do that next time. Okay, so yeah, guys, big shout out to the dads out there. Happy Father's Day again, everybody. Let's talk about Prince of Persia. Now, the last time I played Prince of Persia was on the GameCube. Like, I think that's the only time I've ever played Prince of Persia was the GameCube game. I never played any other versions or anything. What about you, Mike? You probably played it before on multiple consoles, huh?
I've never played anything since like the Nintendo and Super Nintendo Prince of Persia. I've never played Sands of Time, any of those games. Didn't play the modern Prince of Persia. I'm going to be in the minority here. I really like the Jake Gyllenhaal movie. Please don't everybody boo me at once. I liked it. But then again, I don't know the source material. I didn't play the game.
That movie sucked. I didn't like that movie. You liked it, though?
I did, because I don't know the source material, so I wasn't offended by it.
This is us stalling for time while we wait for Nostalgia to pull up the assets for the game. Hang on, everybody.
Thank you, guys. I'm working on it.
Carl, did you ever play a Prince of Persia game, Carl?
Oh, absolutely. Prince of Persia, I played mainly on the PC back in the day. It was one of the games that was one of the coolest games available at the time. So I definitely played that. I hadn't played any of the more modern versions of it, but that's a staple. That's a staple game in my gaming background.
All right. Let's pull this up here. Go ahead.
So while we're doing that, there was supposed to be a Sands of Time remake a couple of years ago. Did that get canceled?
It was suspended indefinitely.
Yeah.
All right. So let's take a look. This is literally the first time I'm watching this trailer. Nostalgia sent it to us earlier today.
Oh, you haven't seen this at all? So this is
Nope. This is
it's
my
actually,
first shot.
So they've taken the franchise, but they've done the game slightly different than all of the other. Well, actually, they kind of took it right back to like the very first Prince of Persia.
There you go, Nostalgia.
So this is going to be like a side-scrolling platform, and you'll actually be able to see it in the next scene here.
A side-scrolling platform.
So it's not
platformer.
It's not like a big ass open world game. I figured that's what they would do, like Assassin's
like
Creed
this
style.
No, it's like modern graphics.
Oh, look at
but
this!
It's like it actually looks really interesting.
Think the best way to explain it is if you've played Metroid Dread, you're gonna love Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown. I think it's called.
I like that.
Yeah,
like,
and you know what's
Metroid
really
Dread.
cool? This would be awesome on the iArcade. This is a license they should go after. So
stop it too soon, bro.
Sorry.
Too soon. Okay, you know what?
I'm really excited. This looks great.
I think this looks
I
fantastic.
think it looks cool. I think it looks cool. At first, when I heard there's another game coming out, I'm like, okay, it's going to be this massive open world Assassin's Creed style game. And take a look, it's not too shabby.
No, it looks good.
As
I
a
think they went in a
side-scroller,
good direction, especially considering they got so much negative reception when they announced the Sands of Time remake, because it wasn't really like it looked like shit. It looked really bad.
Yeah.
But they've gone a completely different direction. So I think this was the right way to go. I think this is gonna rejuvenate the franchise quite a bit, and I'm super excited to get my hands on this.
So I want to talk about
the developer, because I want both Nostalgia and Michael to say the name of this company that made this.
Go ahead, Mike. You start. You can say it wrong first.
Ubisoft.
There we go. That's right. I am soft. Yes. No, it's Ubisoft. Some people say Ubisoft. It depends on where you are in Canada, I guess, right? Like if you're a French-speaking province or city, you're going to say Ubisoft because it's like a softer U, right?
Yeah.
But
Michael the hard use.
You like the hard.
So I'm going to be honest with you. I love games of this nature. Like I love Metroid Dread. Thought Metroid Dread was great. I go play Bloodborne. Not Bloodborne. What is the name of the game that the guy who did the Castlevania Symphony of the Night came and did? Shit. Hold on. Let me get my Steam library up. I'll be able to tell you.
And while he's doing that, what platform is this coming out on, Nostalgia?
So it's I don't know if they announced it specifically, but my guess is it's going to be on all the modern consoles. You'll probably get it on like PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X, and Xbox One X, and then Steam, possibly Nintendo Switch. I don't know. Maybe it'll say right here.
I found the game.
Oh, there we go. Hold on, there it is.
Bloodstained.
Yes.
Yeah, there we go. So,
so you're going to get it on the Switch as well.
This is right up my alley. Mike.
This is cool.
It looks good.
So that might get me off my golf game.
Yeah, right, Carol. Every night I've been playing Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. I see D-Love logs in, PGA Tour. I did want to talk about this. One thing that at first I was a little bit turned off by, and I want to show my ignorance here, was his hairstyle. I looked at it and I was like, are they trying to make him like cool, like Devil May Cry? And then someone responded and said, no, that's actually accurate to the time. That's how people of that culture wore their hair. And I was like, oh, I didn't know. If that's the case, I'm totally cool with it.
So ignorant.
I know, I'm ignorant.
Bro.
Yeah.
So ignorant. No, that is it. Well, I mean, like these are all obviously fictional characters, but yeah, that is relatively accurate to the timeline here.
But see, I'm so burned by that Devil May Cry remake game, which was still good, where they cut his hair and made him more edgy. I always feel games are trying to do that. So,
you need to be edgy in games. That's the whole thing. If it's not edgy, it's not worth playing.
You're making it too easy, man. I can't talk about.
I was waiting for
anymore.
you. I'm sending you a softball. Another one. See, Mike, another one.
Good stuff, guys. Good stuff. Well, hopefully next week will be a little bit more positive and exciting in the world of home arcades and retro gaming, and you know, the business continues. You know what I mean? The show must go on. Whatever
Tune in next week to
analogy-
find out which home arcade company will be closing.
whatever analogy you want to throw it in there. But really appreciate everyone's feedback in the live chat tonight. Greatly appreciate it. Good to be back. Sorry, I'm a little rusty. I've been off a few weeks. Hopefully we can get back into the swing of things. Do us a favor, guys. If you enjoyed tonight's broadcast, definitely give us a thumbs up on the way out.
Hold on, wait a second. I think we missed something. Actually, hold on.
We missed so many
What?
things. Doesn't matter.
We
Dude,
missed.
we've been
we-
going. It's an
shouldn't-
hour and a
shouldn't
half.
We didn't talk
Say-
about iArcade though.
Oh my gosh.
Shut up, nostalgia. I wanna
Do
go
us
to bed.
give us a thumbs up on the way out. If you watch this on replay, definitely give us your comments, feedback, reactions below. Thank you for subscribing. And Carl, whenever you're ready, send these people on their way. And happy Father's Day to all the dads out there.
I echo that as well. Happy Father's Day to all the great fathers, and even a little shout out to the baby daddies. Nothing good ever came without risk, and I'm very thankful that John and the gang took the risk to make the iArcade possible despite the conclusion. Guys, I wish you guys the best in your future endeavors. And until next time, guys, we'll see you on the web.